Jenkins mini course module 4. The goal of this particular module is to automate the process of rerunning a failed automated test with Jenkins. We're going to install the conditional build step plugin, and that will allow us to configure a Jenkins job that will run the test, and after the completion of that run we will use the conditional build step to analyze the Jenkins console results, and if the run has passed then we'll just mark the build or the test run as a success. If the conditional build step detects a failure in that run, then we will branch off and we will rerun the test. And a second attempt at running the test, if it fails, then we'll mark the build as unstable, or if it passes on the second attempt, then again we'll mark the build as a success. So the concept here is that we are automating the rerun of that test in an attempt to get the test to pass the second time round. It's kind of like a workaround for an unstable or an unreliable automated test. So in Jenkins then, the first thing we want to do is make sure we have the conditional build step plugin installed. So we need to go to Manage Jenkins, Manage Plugins, and on the Available tab we can search for Conditional Build. Now if you haven't got it installed, Conditional Build will show up in your results here and you can click on the checkbox and install it. If you have already got it installed, then you can check on the Install tab and search on here again for the same conditional build string, and you should find conditional build listed in your list of already installed plugins. Like I say, if you haven't got it installed, search for it under the Available, click on the checkbox and then go for the Install. And once that's installed, we can go back to the Jenkins main page and we can create our new job. For that we click on New Item, we'll create a freestyle project and we'll give this a name, Conditional Build Test. Click on OK, and then we can build and construct our job that is going to rerun any failed tests and have a second attempt at rerunning these tests. So to do that, the first thing we want to do is scroll down and we need to start with a build step, and we'll create the build step that runs our automated test. And for that, in this example, we're going to run a Windows batch command, and what I've done is construct a Windows batch set of commands that will simulate a test running that sometimes passes and sometimes fails. And you can copy this script from the course notes, but essentially what we're doing is generating a random number between 1 and 2, and depending on that result we'll set our test result to either a pass or a fail, and we'll echo out that result, pass or fail, to the console log in Jenkins. So once we've created that Windows batch command, we can quickly test this and check that our build step for running the tests actually works and delivers what we need. So I'm going to build this 3 or 4 times, and once that's built 3 or 4 times we can look at the individual console log outputs for those 3 or 4 runs. So if we jump into build 1 of the job, so we're looking at build 1, we can check the console output and we can see here that that batch or script resulted in a pass the first time round. The next time we ran it, build 2, it was a fail, and the next time we ran it in build 3 it was a pass, and you can see here that we're simulating that test run which gives us a pass or a fail result. And what we want to do is trigger off that pass or fail result, and if it fails, execute the job a second time round and have a second attempt at running that job or that test. And what we're going to do to achieve that is to use the conditional build step plugin and a build step in our job that will look for this string pass or fail in the console as the job runs. So if we go back to the conditional build test job that we were doing and we go to configure, the next step in that build process adding the conditional step. And what we do here is we want to look through the console as the build runs and carry out a regular expression match. So we're looking for that pass or that fail string in the console as it runs. And there's two steps to this. First, we need to define the string that we want to look for, which in our case is going to be the word fail. And we're adding a /w on the end here, and that matches any white space, so a space or a return character at the end of that string. And that /w is very important because of the way Jenkins writes those console logs. And then in the second step, what we want to do is tell this build step that it needs to look through the console log. And the way we do that is with a Jenkins variable build log multi-line regex, and that will expand to the whole of the console log at runtime that contains that failed string. And we do a pre-match, if you like, on that, where we look for the failed string, and if we match it once, then we found that line and we keep that whole line, and it's then that we look for the expression fail with the white space at the end. So we pre-process the log with this string, we find one line that has fail in it if it's there, and then we look to match with that expression. And if it does match, what do we do? Well, we want to rerun the test again, so we'll run our Windows batch command, and in here we rerun the test a second time. So in this example, we'll just copy our example test run command that generates a random pass fail result. And we can test that that rerun works. We can save that, and we can click on the build now button, and we'll run it a few more times just to make sure this is working. And if we jump into the console log here, let's have a look and see what we get here. So we run the test the first time, it's a pass. Regular expression condition. The label doesn't match the string fail, so it just completes and the job's successful. If we look at the next build, that's a pass. Let's look at the next one. And you can see in this example that the test result was a fail. The regular expression, the label matched, it found the fail string, and then we ran the test again, and the second time round we had a pass. There's one other little addition to this that we can add, because in fact at the moment if it runs the second time and it fails, the overall build is still marked as a success. So we want to add a little addition to the end of our second attempt to run the test. And what we're doing here is, if our random number, which is 2, which is a fail, then set the error level from the execution of this batch command to 1, and then in this job we can say if it's 1, set the build to unstable. So let's save this, run it a few times, and we'll look at a few examples and the different permutations. So build now, I'll run it 3 or 4 or 5 times, and look at the first one, console. So this is run 9, and in this example first attempt was a fail. We've got a match on that failed result, so it reran the test a second time, and in fact the second time it ran it failed again, and Jenkins marked the build or the test run as unstable. Let's have a look at another example. In this example, we ran the test, it was a pass, so we didn't need to rerun it, and it was just marked as a success. The only other scenario to test then, if we run through a few more times, is if we get a pass and a second attempt comes in at a pass. So I'll just build this a few more times. And in this particular example, we had a fail in the first one, and the second attempt was a pass, so we marked it as a success. So what we've seen here is an example of creating a Jenkins job that will rerun a test a second time if it fails in the first attempt, just to simulate rerunning an unstable test and having a second attempt at that particular run.
Learn more at automatedtesting.com.